Hi, my name's Thete, and I'm dipping my toes into classic WoW after a while. I'm someone who played through vanilla on a Paladin, actually, and now sort of just dipping back into it and wondering what character I'll level up, because I'm going to be doing it on a really casual basis. It certainly won't be the Paladin for a couple of reasons. Just reminded when I get to here, actually. Poverty! Can't afford a silver. I actually will be able to in a moment. But that is something I've not experienced in the game for a ridiculous amount of time. But I certainly do remember it back in vanilla, even at level cap. You know, just running out of gold. So, don't need... might keep that of this rubbish. I don't need healing herbs. I'm a priest. Not that I'm necessarily planning on leveling a priest as such. I actually don't know. I'm at a bit of a quandary, given that I know I'm not going to be playing it properly.
How are ya?
I'm very well, thank you. And that I'm just going to be playing it casually, and you think to yourself, so do you want a character that's just really good at soloing? As you level up, you would say yes. In fact, I must be absolutely insane to be even thinking about a priest, and yet here I am thinking about a priest. But level cap, if I get there, and it will be a long time before I get there because I'm really only going to be spending a few hours a week on it, I will be wanting to join groups. I'm not just going to be wanting to go around grinding. There's limited appeal in that. I don't like the way that I'm encouraged to touch this gnome.
Can I help you?
God.
Off and away.
Okay, hopefully I won't have to do too much of that in the game. That is my fault for choosing the dwarf on this priest. So the appeal of the priest is, if you're going to be getting into groups, and given that I'm not sort of playing with people I know, I've not even, I've just chosen whichever realm it told me to, and I'm making sure I get all my characters onto that realm. The advantage of the priest is obvious in that when people are asking for people to join groups, tanks and healers tend to be fairly high on the list. And if you're going to do a healer, you may as well do a priest. The druid doesn't really appeal from that point of view because it's really just putting leaves on people. The druid says, "Would you like some leaves on you?" "Yes, please. I'd love some leaves on me. Thank you very much. Here you go. Here are some leaves on you." And that's pretty much it. The class design was quite poor in many ways. A lot of the roles were an absolute nonsense. Priest actually didn't have it too badly, really, because Shadow was viable. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't really see it that way, and what they wanted you to do was heal a lot of the time. Mages, for example, the arcane spec, if you went down the arcane tree, you would be roundly ridiculed. I remember mages in TBC being absolutely delighted. I can be arcane, and people won't take the piss out of me. But the priest is a possibility because when it comes to the group, it might be a slog leveling. I mean, I could always level as Shadow and then switch to Holy at level cap. I'd rather potentially do a couple of things. One is I could just level up as Holy and try and get into as many dungeon groups as possible. Because the downside to all this nonsense, of course, is when you run out of mana, you are just hitting things with your mace here. I haven't run out of mana, just to demonstrate there. Whereas on the warrior, you have the option
Not in a rage.
of, you know, when you've run out of abilities and you've got no, in this case, rage for your abilities, you can just carry on hitting it anyway, because that's what you would generally do, and you'll do a great deal more damage with that because that's what you're set up to do. So with the warrior, for example, which has the advantages of being able to tank, of course, and being the preferred tank, although in theory druids and paladins could tank, it was almost as if, you know, the Blizzard developers were telling us, why are you tanking on that paladin and druid? You gave us tanking talent trees. Didn't think anyone would actually use them. But, you know, with the warrior, of course, proper tanky tank. And I wouldn't actually...
Need more rage.
Yeah, need more rage, I remember that. Wouldn't actually need to necessarily level as protection, because that's No, that's bad. Because I think I think you can do a rather better job leveling up in leveling dungeons of tanking as a DPS spec warrior than you can of healing on a DPS spec priest. So whereas with the priest, I would think, yeah, I'm going to level up as holy. The warrior, no, I think I could, you know, I seem to remember I did level up as fury on my warrior. As far as, I mean, I got to level 50 on it. And still was able to tank. And I think a lot of that is because in a lot of situations you are generally doing dungeons that are a little bit lower than your level anyway. Just the way it naturally worked out. Or it worked out for me anyway. So this is a possibility. Now the other possibility is, well, I have 2 accounts. And that means I could level 2 at once. It wouldn't be as quick as leveling a single character through because there's a lot of swapping between them. And, you know, for looting and so on. But what it would mean is that I could absolutely get the warrior as one possibility. And I could get, I mean, in this case it's a warlock, but, you know, the priest as another potentially. And then it's not such a big deal that the priest is holy while leveling, because the warrior can do the damage at such time as he decides to get some skills to do damage. And then and then in dungeons, then you just do your holy stuff healing. And you're not at a disadvantage because at no point are you ever having to go around DPS in solo or anything like that. So that's another possibility. In terms of actual other possibilities, there are some other classes. The Warlock I've created there as one possibility. Pros on that one, you've got your Soul Stone, Health Stones, things like that are usually quite desirable. As a DPS, again, fairly desirable. You've also got the fact that they are a single role class, which means there's no real worrying about, oh, you know, having to have one spec for your solo stuff and another spec for your group stuff. It will work both ways. Same sort of thing for a mage. A mage is potentially a little more appealing because the downside to a warlock is, of course, all the soul shards. That's a pain in the arse I can do without. And the mage also brings portals, which are very nice at the end of a dungeon. Conjured water and food, which is a pain in the arse, but it's useful, and so it gets you into groups. And of course has that single roll again. Same with a rogue. Possibly a rogue has a bit less use. It does have some crowd control, as would the mage. Doesn't really bring anything to the group as such, as in the shiny things. Doesn't bring portals or health stones, any conjured items or anything like that. Doesn't bring any group buffs. But rogues are not usually shunned as such, as they never have been in the game. But it's very good solo class, of course, and if you decide to want to PvP, then it's very good for that as well. So there's always that benefit. It really is a case of me wondering which class would I want to play, because I'm cycling around a few here, but also where I'm spending a bit of time on them, when arguably I don't have a massive amount of time. The other benefit here, I'm stuck here with my warrior. If I had the priest behind me, I'd just switch onto the priest, give him a little heal, you know, shield and what have you at a certain level. Oh no.
Not in a trade.
And in fact, something I can do here now really quickly, let's hope this works, is get both of them in action. That's curse him so it doesn't do as much damage as well. Back on there. Don't you run away from me. And job's a good one. Tag team. Tag team. Nice one. So what do you think? Which class shall I go? I'll tell you one class I'm definitely not going to be doing, and that is the Paladin, for 2 reasons. One is that I played a Paladin through vanilla. I don't need to do it again. I enjoyed it, and I stuck with my Paladin. And I was always going to play a Paladin then, regardless of how it turned out. But I have done that once before, and I don't really need to replicate the experience. Also the fact that because I'm going to be doing it casually, let's face facts, paladins are a bit of an odd one. As are many of the classes that have multiple roles possible, but they weren't always seen as being desirable. Whereas it'll be much easier for me to just go for a class, I think, that'll have an easier time of it. A much easier time of it. Which is likely to mean, if I want to be a healer, priest. If I want to tank, the warrior. And those are possibilities. If I want to DPS, I think, to be honest, we're looking at probably mage or rogue. Warlock is a possibility, of course. I've created one, so of course it is. But probably mage or rogue. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And this Sunday, when I'm doing some streaming, I'm going to be streaming a bit of Classic. Hopefully, some sort of decision will be made. Even if it's a tag team type thing. But if I'm going to do a tag team, it's probably going to be warrior and priest. But not absolutely certain. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you later.